All right, this is take 2 of our live stream. I guess let's go from the beginning since pretty much it wasn't even going.
Yeah.
So
We're good.
you're going to IBS, and this is your first time.
Right. Yep. Going with Company Cam because they hit me up and wanted me to come down and hang out with them. I guess you didn't meet Kevin or Matt, but they're going as well. And then Marianne, the lady plumber from Troll, and Tim. I think he's Awesome Framers or something like that. I can't remember exactly who the last one is, but yeah, they invited a bunch of us to go down, so we're gonna go down, hang out. It's my wife's birthday that week too, so it's a good little excuse to go on a vacation.
And Company Cam is sending you down there, right?
Yep. They paid for all the travel and then a little bit on top, so it was awesome. Didn't expect that to ever happen in my life.
What, you mean to get paid to go to a trade show pretty much?
Yeah, it's just an interesting concept to me. Oh, well, we want you to hang out at our booth for, a little bit every day. It's cool. The Company Cam's awesome. Those guys are great.
They seem like they've got a cool product too.
Yeah, it's super useful. And that's not just because they pay me to say that.
Side note here, we are live on Instagram, but it doesn't work very well.
Blurry.
It's showing like the middle of the screen, like not even it's showing like this much of the big screen that we're looking at right here. So it doesn't show either of our faces really.
Weird.
That's kind of awkward. We are doing tests here, guys, and unfortunately everybody is guinea pigs here. I might end this live stream to Instagram because it's just not working.
Does your YouTube everything work?
It says we're on those, so
well, maybe if anyone is listening, go to his YouTube.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. So we do have a question. Well, we have a bunch of questions. And like I was saying earlier, we have a good community of people that are, being supportive. So we have Justin Startari asked this. So, he's big into the health and fitness as well. Says his channel. And he says that he believes the dwindling amount of people joining the trades has to do with the rumors of physical abuse on the body.
Yeah.
Kind of wants our opinion on that.
I mean, I think it's a deterrent, that's for sure. Because everyone's convinced that if you do construction, that by the time you're 50, you're going to be bent over and not able to stand up or use your knees.
Yeah.
Or your back.
Yeah.
But like we've discussed before, that's not the job. That's your lifestyle and your choices at that job. Like if you want to do dumb shit and go try to lift, all this stuff by yourself instead of using the telehandler or asking for help, you're going to get hurt. That's, it's on you. But I think a lot of people use that as a deterrent to not encourage growth in the trades or like people joining the trades. But you and I both know that if you sit at a desk your whole life, your body's still going to deteriorate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in the chiropractor the other day and I was mentioning to you that I've been going, and I was telling him that I don't really have any issues other than like some discomfort. And I think it's been from a couple different things, not really any of them work related. And he was asking me if I am fine in the lower back and stuff, like if I need to be adjusted or if I have any pain down there. And I'm like, no, not really. I don't fine usually. And he was like, man, that's surprising because of like what you do. And I told him, I was like, I feel like it's not really that bad for you.
Yeah.
It's everything that everybody does in the trades, like that affects you almost more than the job itself, and maybe even amplified. We talk about that quite a bit. It's like, what's the general lifestyle of someone who works in the trades? Wake up just before they need to go to work, after a rough night of sleep, grab an energy drink and a donut, don't drink enough water on the job, go home, sit on the couch, like all of this type of stuff that basically not taking care of your body in the slightest. I mean, not stretching out, strengthening your body to combat the stress that you're putting on it. And really, it's not even that bad if your body is used to it and strengthened in response to it. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like that has been a deterrent for a long time, but I feel like maybe nowadays it's changing, and people like just like you know that dropped this in. I think people like him and maybe us that talking about taking care of your shit will kind of help people to realize that it's not that bad. It's not really that. It's everything surrounding the general lifestyle of a tradesman nowadays that is worse.
Yeah. I think, yeah, lifestyle choices. And I guess probably some of it comes from what construction used to be. They didn't have the equipment or the things in place to keep you safe at your job or, that your boss is required to have at work. So I think, back in the day, people are probably a lot more prone to accidents or prone to having to use their body as the tools and things like that. And that probably is stuck around because everybody sees, I mean, your sample size of people who have done construction for 50 years is people that are that age that were involved, like when the masons were walking on one plank 3 frames high. And, if the guy falls from that, of course, like now we're a 5 plank deck and all that stuff. Or there's the telehandler and you're not trying to carry shit up a ladder or just all that stuff. And so you see the old guys that are all beat down because of either lifestyle choice or the construction environment back then. And I'm sure that still sticks around as a negative stigma. But like you and I know, it's the equipment that we have today and the awareness that we have to like, hey, don't do that shit. And, maybe, like you said, drink water, do some workouts, strengthen your body, like the stuff that prevents that. There's a wealth of knowledge out there at this point. So if you can't take care of yourself, that's on you.
I mean, the amount of knowledge that we have in general, like you said, awareness. I mean, the internet itself helping point people in the direction of, hey, look, it's not your job. It's literally everything else you do surrounding, like before, after, during, like at your job, mismanagement of how you're doing things. That's actually causing problems. One thing that I had talked with my chiropractor about, and I've heard this before, is like, he was like, they're saying nowadays that sitting is the new smoking, like in terms of how just absolutely terrible it is. I think we were talking the last time about how everybody knows smoking is bad, right? And people still do it. I mean, why in the heck would you possibly want to do something that's that horrible for you?
Yeah, and it's like we were saying, because we were talking about sobriety and stuff, I feel like alcohol to Gen Z is like what smoking cigarettes was for us. They look at it and like, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, I mean, talk about crazy, because it's stuff that we know is really bad, and people just don't care. It's a habit that they like to be a part of, I guess, and I'll never get that. But at the end of the day, I mean, all we can do is bring awareness to people about this scenario.
Yeah. And, I'm on the other side of the coin, if you will, from you, where like I have dabbled in that lifestyle. So it's like, it's there and it happens in social situations and whatnot. But it's also, if you're going to look at like where you want to be, and like we said last time, it's being aware and reverse engineering, like, hey, I want to be this. Like, if I want to be healthy and live a long time and, get to spend my life with my wife, I probably shouldn't smoke, or I probably shouldn't do dumb shit at work, or like I should take care of myself. If I want to be like even in this industry, like if I want to do this, I should take care of the tool that is me.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's what makes you money. You rely on it heavily. But I mean, look at the current state of the world in health, especially in the US, just all around. I mean, you look at people that are not working construction, they're freaking absolutely, completely unhealthy, and they don't take care of themselves either. And it's the same situation. So, I mean, drawing the contrast here between like, look, you can take care of yourself in construction, and you can take care of yourself in, a desk job, we'll say a white collar job. It looks the same. It's the same type of situation. It's taking care of yourself is the most important at the end of the day. And I don't have any evidence to back up that like working in construction is, better, quote unquote, than sitting at a desk. But I know that sitting at a desk isn't good for you. And maybe there's a lot of things in construction that get a bad rap because of people just not being smart with what they do. But I feel like being around, moving, being outside, all of that stuff is super important. And you get to do all the time while in construction. While that's like how everybody has spent their lives, in all of human history up until the last 50 years, maybe 100 years even. I mean, people haven't been sitting down inside at a desk looking at a computer for that long. And I think now we're starting to see the harm in that. And so I think that was all kind of laid out, like painting construction to be the bad guy, to try to get people to get into these new tech jobs and these white collar jobs, just because it's like, oh yeah, look, you can make a bunch of money, over here doing this tech stuff. You can work with your brain, not your body. It's way better for you. And so I think that's where that's come from, been just like a marketing push to get people over there.
Yeah, and I think too, as people look at construction again, we know it. Like, if you can go to the gym, you didn't work hard enough today. We've all heard that. And so probably the difference, like in a white collar job, you're at a desk, it's like, oh, I still have the physical energy to go to the gym, or, maybe it's viewed as easier. Whereas construction, like, to a certain point, you get through the day where construction doesn't kick, at first it kicks your ass, and then once you get used to it, just like the gym, like I'm used to this level of work. They should like still have energy at the end of the day, or the beginning of the day, like you, because you are a psychopath and wake up at 4 a.m.
That's,
But
that's always been
yeah,
a habit that
I
I've
think
liked to have.
people have a hard time with that one because like I can't work out and do construction. I'm already doing like weightlifting-esque things all day.
Yeah. Oh, what? Did we lose it? Are you back? Yeah. We lost you there for a second.
Or
Hey, Dick Frost is on. Dick Frost is on the YouTube stream. Cool. Was that your end that cut out, or my end, or what's going on here?
my thing still says recording, but I like you broke up on my end, but I don't know if that's the same to your end.
Yeah, you broke up on my end too. Well, that's all right. But you see, you were just barely talking about like working out in construction.
Yeah. And I guess the tangent I went on, which was, I think people view construction as like you're doing weightlifting adjacent activities all day. So, going to the gym after, people view it as like, oh, you didn't work hard enough today if you still have time for that or energy for that. Pardon me. Whereas a white collar job, it's like, I still have energy at the end of the day because I've just been sitting here doing sales or tech or, whatever it may be. So I think people probably have a disconnect there of like, why would I go to the gym and maintain my body if I'm already doing that all day versus here? It's like, oh, I need to go do this after the gym because I haven't done anything all day.
What was always interesting to me when I actually was working out in the morning, because I haven't been doing that lately, and honestly, it makes me sad. So when I was at the beginning, I was really good about working out before work, and for some reason, it made the day go by so much better. I don't know, like I had all of the energy at the beginning of the day, but like the actual working out didn't expend that much energy. It almost just gave me more energy. Whereas when I work out at the end of the day, it almost feels like it just uses up everything I have left. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think either way, it's what you're used to. Your body adjusts. Because like we adjust to the energy output and input that we get, right? Like you have excess energy input, you're going to freaking store that crap up. Excess energy output, your body's going to you're either going to be shutting down if you don't have enough like calories coming in, or like you're going to be more energized. Like your body's going to ramp up and figure out how to make it easier, because that's like our bodies want to be in a state of equilibrium, I guess. So I mean that's kind of the whole reason why you build muscle and get stronger. It's like your body wants to make it easier for the next time. So like the whole idea that people have, like where they have a hard time with the workouts and stuff, I get it. I understand. I used to think that as well, but it's kind of misplaced, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think part of it's probably proper nutrition and fuel as well. Like making sure you're feeding yourself, drinking water, those sort of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But
what were you going to say?
hopefully that helps with the question. I was just gonna say, hopefully that helps with the question. Like I do believe that it's used as a deterrent from construction,
Yeah.
and that people probably don't want to do manual labor. But I don't think it's the sole reason that your body gets broken down. Like we've said time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's probably the best we could say there. Is it's definitely been a deterrent. I do think it's turning around, although it's still like an ongoing belief of like, you're breaking your back and doing all that sort of stuff, working in it. So, and like you said right at the beginning, there are like the people that have been in construction long enough to see the effects of it didn't like, they think that way and they've never known anything different. So it's like, it's hard to look at people as use cases where, you see, oh yeah, look at this old guy, he's broken down. It's like, okay, well, what did he do the last freaking 50 years while he was working in construction? And you start picking all that apart and you kind of realize that like nobody's doing what we're talking about as far as taking care of yourself. And the people that do, I mean, typically actually don't work manual labor for 50 years either. So they usually you're very self-conscious and you're pushing and stuff. You'll end up kind of getting maybe out of the field at some point, which
Yeah, I
actually,
mean that's the goal, right?
yeah,
Move up that ladder.
yeah, which is actually another question. So we have a few questions from one of our Stroll ambassadors. So from 801 Electric, he's here actually in Ogden. Yeah. Yeah. He actually says, so retirement options, is this something you guys will do for the rest of your life? Do you want to be pouring concrete / laying brick at 55? You have a retirement plan? What can people do if they don't?
Yeah, no, I don't. My plan is not to be laying brick at 55, but I plan to be able to do so at 55, right? Like if I want to. But it's much like my father, for instance, you build something that gets you out of the field, and then you leverage your time in different ways and such. But my goal personally is, within the next 4 to 5 years to get him retired or at least semi-retired and, start fulfilling his role in this business. And then while increasing my income between work, side jobs, social media, all that sort of stuff, like that's, start building the nest egg and the investments and doing what I need to do so that when I get to that point, I can just go screw off to Mexico or somewhere with a beach and good food and enjoy the rest of my life with my wife. But that's my plan anyway.
Yes.
If you're trying to figure out what to do with your money and how to set yourself up for those sort of things, a financial advisor is a great tool to use. Yeah. I'm not one of those. I'm going to tell you to, you don't need to see the meme coins that I invested in.
No financial advisors would suggest that, but also some people got freaking rich off of those, so you never know.
I mean, I like the craps table every once in a while. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. What's your take on that?
I think that, like what you said, is important right there. Your plan is not to be doing it, but you want to be able to. So that's like important forward thinking. I think it depends person to person. I don't plan to be pouring concrete essentially at 55, but I mean, my dad's 50, he's pouring concrete. He actually is only pouring concrete most of the time. He shows up in the morning to help us pour out and then takes off to go look at jobs and send invoices, all that type of stuff that needs to be done for the business. by the time I'm 55, plan to be doing something similar. I mean, be able to, but be not necessarily in the field all the time. But it depends because there are 55-year-old concrete finishers and some of them make good money and some of them like it and it just is what it is. So depends on your ambition. So most people, the general progression would be, you work in the field for 15, 20 years or something, and then you move to sales or you move to your own company, like whatever it is, you move to different up a ladder per se. So like what that could look like for other people is maybe you move up in your own in your company through different levels of management if it's big enough. Like I don't plan on it and I don't think a lot of people do, but what the problem is people don't plan for anything, so they just end up doing it forever. So
Yeah, I think that's right there is a great point. If people do not take awareness to their own situation. And so that's why you have the young kid with the $1,500 a month truck payment and, all the other stuff that's, keeping up with the Joneses per se. You need to be aware of those sort of things and do it as young as you can. And just like, if you can get to a point where you're putting away a set amount of money every paycheck or every week or every month, whatever it is, it needs to go toward your retirement and some vehicle that earns you more money or that you can leverage to earn more money, whether it's investments or, your, like I have a whole life policy that's supposed to be worth so much when I'm older, or like just those sort of things. Explore those things, figure out what works for you, but try to set a budget where you're saving, 10, 15, 20% of each paycheck and put it somewhere so that when you get to 55, 60, you're not looking around like, okay, I made all this money throughout my career in the trades and I don't have shit for it. I think a lot of people I think we do a poor job of educating the people in our industry of how to do things like that so that they don't have to be on the tools for as long as they do sometimes,
yeah, I mean, and this does come down to like what you want, but I feel like a lot of people don't base it off of that. They just do it, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, there's so much information that you can literally do whatever you want. You can, go find any financial advisor that'll help you save for retirement. There's all sorts of information on how to start your own business. You could start your own business and do it that way. So many resources for leveling up and moving forward in your own career in your business. So, if you're in a very large company, you can end up taking like an only like sales position. There's a lot of people that do that too. It's just, I think there's enough information that people can do definitely what they want. And that's all I'm taking it, like right now, the general plan is to move forward and take over the business. And I'll be taking over business with my brothers. If something doesn't go right, I'm still going to have some sort of plan where I'm not doing the physical work all the time when I'm 55, like I feel like people that end up like that and are unhappy with it did it to themselves.
Yeah. And I think it's just like the theme that we keep coming back to of like self-awareness and figure out what you want and work toward that. Like you can't just float along and then get to the end and wonder why it didn't work out for you,
That's
And
important.
then I think another important thing, at least from my perspective, is like you and I both plan to move up through and take over a business. And like I said, I don't want to have to be on the tools at 55. And in order to do so, I need to educate and empower the young men and possibly women that come into our companies so that they can run those job sites and move themselves up that ladder and take those responsibilities and earn that income for themselves so that I can leverage my time to keep work in front of them and so on and so forth. So I'm not having to be the general in the field to a point. Like I have generals, right? Like, so I think it's important that if you are on that path of like how do I do my own thing? You get out of it. You need to educate and empower those that are within your company to help you out so that everybody rises to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Train your replacement pretty much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and the other side of that is while you're doing that, you'll be learning skills that you need to be able to move on to a different position. Cause like you can't just do the same thing, show up to work and lay brick 8 hours a day and expect to be able to move up in any sort of scenario. You need to be able to like try here and there on teaching people what to do and teaching people to kind of take over what you're doing and learn the skills of leadership so that you can eventually be a lead, right? Like you can't just lay brick all the time or finish concrete and that's all and then expect to get away from that at 55. So it's like that's all that's going to be there for you is doing that constantly. So yeah.
Yeah, it is of no benefit to me to be able to outlay everybody on my crew for the next 30 years.
Yes.
Like I would much rather teach them and empower them to learn how to be better than me than I would spend the next 30 years being better than them at that position in particular, or the next position, or whatever it may be.
The funny thing that I've kind of noticed is when you start to teach people things, it really becomes solidified like in your own mind.
For sure.
Like becoming an expert it's almost like it happens when you start teaching people. Like you can't become an expert without that aspect to it. So you will learn a bunch of things just from that alone.
Yeah.
That process.
I do think one of the easiest ways to learn is to teach, or at least to, like you said, solidify what you do know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you have to be able to simplify what it is you do and break it down for somebody else that knows nothing or not enough to do it the way that you're trying to teach. And yeah, that process just solidifies it in your own mind and it really makes you better, makes them better all the way around. We've got one of your little students on right now. What's up, Steven? What's going on?
I don't think you needed to call him little, but whatever.
Yeah, I forgot we're all picking on him right now. My goodness. Sorry, Steven. Yeah. So anyways, would you say you learned from teaching Steven? Or does Steven teach you?
Steven doesn't listen.
Steven doesn't listen.
I'm kidding. No, he's been great. Steven's awesome. He's a great addition to my daily life and crew and everything else. Yeah. It's nice because there's a couple guys. There's Steven and a couple other ones, and like they're hungry to learn and they're hungry to grow. And so it's nice to see them doing that and then to be able to like, hey dude, try this. Like I did what you did. Now try this, that sort of stuff. And yeah, it does it's good because I can teach them and, like I said, empower and educate them. But then also I learn how to, like, Steven is very different from Mike, who is very different from Chase. Like those guys, like each personality, I can't deliver the same message to each of them in the same way. So you do in leadership learn, like, I need to know this so well that I can explain it to 3 different personalities and have them get it.
And that's the hard part about being a teacher. And I don't know, we don't want to get into the school system right now, but what sucks about the school system too, it's like you can't teach the same thing like everybody across the board the same way. You can have the most knowledge about, whatever it is you're teaching, but if you don't know how to deliver it to your students, then I mean, it doesn't really help anybody. So yeah, there's a certain aspect there that's important to learn how to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, I want to say it's like if I only spoke English and then I need to teach someone how to do something, but they don't speak English. Like it's the same point of like each person on the crew learns in a completely different way, whether it's, whatever it might be, or they get encouraged in different ways or things like that. Like, so if you're only delivering it one way, like the old guys in construction deliver it very harshly and, they're mean.
Yes.
Versus like, and some people need that. Like I get it. When I was a teenager, I got my ass chewed and I got my shit in gear. Some guys need that. Some guys need praise. Some guys need, just whatever it is. And then, some guys they learn hands on. Some learn by watching. Some learn by you telling them. Like there's infinite possibility of different ways for people to learn something. So as a leader, you need to know your shit well enough to be able to teach in different ways, which I guess in theory is you learning more about what you're doing.
Exactly. For people that have jumped on, I think we got a few people watching. We're doing Q&A, and I'm just actually going through previously captured questions so that we're just talking about. So if you guys got any questions, shoot them in the chat, and we will, I think, see them.
Hey, Steven.
Yeah, this platform's kind of interesting. I think it collects all of the questions from across the platforms, and puts them here, but I don't know if I message back if it goes to all of the different platforms too. So anyways, so Z gave us like a million of these. So I was actually happy because I think he gave us 6 questions. They're all pretty good.
He's a good egg.
Yeah. We'll go on to the next one. Social media. And I want to touch on this with your company cam stuff. Mm-hmm. Social media in the blue collar working world, is it helpful for people to see or not? So my initial thoughts to that statement or question is like, is it helpful to be showing like the blue collar world or not? And also, is social media like impactful in general for the blue collar world?
If you ask me, yeah, 100%, it's impactful. I think that I went on my little rant the day that TikTok was supposed to go away, that the rise in blue collar content that came from TikTok is 100% responsible for young kids being interested in what we are doing out here. And, there's obviously other factors that lead to people being in construction, but I have had Instagram since high school. Not a single person gave a shit about what I was doing on the job site until that content became popular. And now there's people that message me like, hey, I want to do this. Or, hey, like, what do you think about this? And sort of things like that. So it creates curiosity. It creates an environment where someone can ask questions and get them answered in a low pressure environment. You don't need to show up to a job site and ask the questions. And it also gives a platform to educate people on how to do things better or how to do things in any shape or form. I think like my brain goes to like social media is like the version of Dirty Jobs or Home Improvement or like those sort of shows. Cause like that's, what we had. It's like, oh, I can watch this episode every week, and I'm interested in it, versus they can go find like whatever trade they're interested in. I guarantee there's people making content about it and you can go figure it out or ask them any question you possibly want. Like we're doing right.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you brought up Dirty Jobs because as I think I've listened to a couple podcasts that Micro has been on. I don't think I've listened to his podcast that he has yet. And like, as I hear from him and listen to him and think about my own upbringing in the education world, I feel like we listen or watch Dirty Jobs a lot in certain classes that I had throughout school, even though I felt like the trades weren't really pushed that much. Like we almost watched it. It was like, oh man, look at this cool, like this cool show. They're showing all these interesting and like crazy jobs. And like mainly in my wood shop classes and like all of those types of classes, we would watch Dirty Jobs. And it's almost like this generation, our generation, is the Dirty Jobs generation. And that has translated to people being excited about their trade and sharing it on social media, which more and more people have been doing. And now there's like a building interest. So I don't know if I could say specifically that Dirty Jobs like catapulted this forward, but I almost feel like it's a huge influence on it, on even the fact that it's become influential on social media or popular on social media.
Yeah, I mean, because
you
have
got
those
all these
shows
kids
like
that grew up watching.
you've got Dirty Jobs,
Yeah.
you've got and Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush, and like all these popular shows that we all kind of grew up with. And I do think that maybe that was the getting the ball rolling. Like you said, I agree.
Um, and we're just barely getting around to like where a lot of other content creators in other industries are. Like you said, Company Cam is really investing in you. Like you have a partnership with them, and then they're sending you down to IBS. I feel like that's been a really common thing for influencers and content creators in other spaces. But at the moment, it's like just starting to, within the last year, couple of years, whatever, be really crucial for blue collar content creators to have partnerships and deals and stuff. Like I talked to Kit in my last interview, and he was saying that it's still kind of hard to get some like blue collar service companies or what I'm even trying to say, like software companies or like supply companies or whatever to spend all this money to have like an influencer partnership. But you are seeing that happen, and it's super, super lucrative for creators on Instagram. So like you can be making pretty dang good money just because now it's starting to become popular to be a tradesman on Instagram. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I want to add a point to like a subcategory, whatever, something underneath that. If you look at this or listen to that conversation and think I should go be a tradesperson on social media so that I can make a bunch of money on brand deals, I need you to understand that's not how it works. You need to post content that people give a shit about and grow an audience that trusts you so that you can post things that you actually use and they will receive it. I was like, you don't get to just be a blue collar trades person on social media because it's trend.
You know, I would almost say that common sense would tell people that they need to do that first, but at the same time, it isn't so common. So people probably are like, oh yeah, I can just go be a tool person and just like, get all these partnerships with tool companies and they'll just send me a bunch of stuff and, you can just review them. Like, no, you kind of have to have skills and right, like you said, build an audience and connect with people in a certain way that allows you to have influence. So that then these companies actually pay you. It's like it's an extra on top of stuff that you do already.
Yeah. And that's Chad Ward from Old Boy and Whiskey Bent Barbecue. He's like, you ask kids what they want to be these days. And like, I want to be an influencer. He's like, okay, what can you influence anyone about? Like, and so I think it's important to remember that, like, hey, you need to have something that will cause you to grow an audience. You can't just be this. And then, the other things come with it. So just, yeah, like you said, that should be a common sense thing, but
that's an important point right there. Cause, almost any influencer that you see is, we'll say, building an audience based off of an extreme interest of theirs or a skill that they have, or even showing the process of building skills that then they are showcasing. Like it's something, but like you still have to have like a baseline desire or skill or something that you're showing to people that then loops people in. Except for social media is weird because, I think maybe we've talked about before, there's the one guy that posts the same video every day on Instagram and it has a massive following and they keep getting a bunch of views and I don't even know how, but whatever. So there's some nuances there, but like if you're trying to become an influencer, you're almost always influencing over things and about things that you have skills for. Are you there?
There we go. Gotcha. But yeah, I caught you right at like if you're trying to be an influencer.
You're trying to be an influencer, you are influencing people over like skills and things that you already have, really, interests that you have, whatever it is. Like you don't just be like, have nothing to do with construction and be like, I'm going to be a construction influencer. I mean, I guess you could say you could be a DIY influencer and be like, here, look, this is how I'm doing this, no experience, that type of stuff, but come enjoy the process. There's a lot of people like that, but like, yeah, you have to show people that you either know what you're doing or have like an extreme interest and desire in it and be interesting and like in order to build the following. So
Yeah, I think it would be important to rework. You should be a content creator versus an influencer because content creation requires something as a subject.
that's the hard part for content creation. Cause like, I think even myself, like I have so many things I could create content on, but that doesn't mean I should. And I just kind of create a bunch of stuff and throw it out there. And I haven't even really figured out what I like to make or post or anything. So I'm still kind of in that phase of testing things out. It still is like, there's so many different directions you can go. So getting a focused idea is kind of important. I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of people that like, they're trying to build a following and they post a lot of random things, like have nothing to do with each other. And I feel like that sometimes, but all of my stuff has the blue collar, theme, I guess. Like even my workout stuff, I'm usually posting like, yeah, look, this is what it looks like to work out when you're in construction or something. So try to tie it in that way, but I know I'm not the best about niching down.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about like throwing things at a wall to see what sticks, but I do think if you want to pursue that part of the career, if you will, that you need to display knowledge and interest in things in a certain, realm of it. It's like you can't just post funny memes all day and then have a company be like, "Hey, so can you talk about our software and how you could use it at work?" Someone's like, "No, you're the funny meme guy. Don't do this."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can have like a different variety of content and that'd be better than just posting like memes like that and then going after something that has nothing to do with what you post about too. So yeah, I think working with Matt, that page, Matt was sharing that some of his comments and they're so funny because people are getting now upset with tradesmen influencers. They're like, man, it's ruining the construction industry having all these tradesmen influencers out there. And I think, did you post a response to that or something?
No, but
Someone
I saw
else?
someone someone on Threads was mad
Oh
that
yeah,
like some
yeah,
of
that's
us,
where I saw that one
someone
from.
got flown out, right? Yeah, someone got flown out and they're like, "This is bullshit." I was like, "Are you just mad that you didn't get a free plane ticket?" Or
Yeah. Yeah, they're ruining the trades. I'm like, really?
yeah,
Really?
it's sales. Yeah, it's like the company is flying them out because attention equals sales. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, pretty much. And
And
they're
yeah,
most likely getting returns on their investment because more eyes on their product, more essentially.
and yeah, but to the the main question here, is it beneficial? It's not ruining the trades because people want to post content. I think it's beneficial in those ways of education, inspiration, and then creating a community where people that are interested in it can ask questions and get them answered or to a point.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep going on Z's questions. I like how you keep bringing us back because I keep rambling about things.
I get it. Like you said, I lead a job site. I have to herd cats all the time. I got you, bro.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes.
I'm just teasing you.
That's.
Steven's still here. I don't want his attention span's pretty short.
I think he is still here, actually. I
I had to get my one short joke in.
Yeah. Hey, is Dusty short too? Asphalt Space Ranger.
Yeah, I do like he was.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Eric was like, "You getting in on this?" And I was like, "Is he short?"
the personality is pit.
Yo, facts. I've seen your videos, dude. Big personality.
Always.
Yeah. I guess people who are watching this don't know we have a ambassador group chat for Trollco and people keep teaming up on Steven for being a short guy. And actually Dick, who was in here watching at some point. I don't know if he's still here. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Eric.
Yeah.
Eric also gets, and then he calls me a giraffe all the time.
Is Eric short too?
Yes.
Like how short?
I think I don't know, maybe like 5'7", 5'8".
Well, that's me.
Compared to me, you're all short,
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I wanted to comment in the chat, be like, am I considered short? Because compared to Jesse, I think everybody is, and me over here at 5'8" is like midgets. So I'm probably in this conversation too, but I don't know. So I'm like, I don't know how tall everybody is. I haven't seen everybody in person. So I think I've seen Steven in person, and Dick told me how tall he was. That's all I know. So I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just
Like,
funny. So
yeah, like Brock and Larry are about my size, but those are the only other two that I've met in person, other than Marianne, and she's tiny, like the lady plumber. But yeah,
yeah. All right, back to questions real quick. I don't even know. Oh yeah, we'll probably do one more question.
so yeah,
Blue collar work life versus typical 9 to 5. Some thoughts on relationships with friends, marriage, working late, overtime, emergency problems, traveling, answering phone calls when other people don't have to, that type of stuff. So we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think we could go on this. I want to preface this by saying I don't have personal experience with a typical 9 to 5. I've seen a lot of it. I think the biggest thing I would say is like, I never know when I'm going to be done. So people ask me like when I'm going to be off work, and I have no idea. I can make a guess, but that doesn't mean that,
yeah,
it's going to be right. So that's the biggest issue I think people have with what we do. It's sort of consistent. We always get enough hours like working in. The problem is never knowing exactly when you're going to be done, which I don't really consider that much of a problem. I'm used to it. But some people that are used to showing up at, 9 and then going, sorry, I just had a chat come in. I got distracted. So people who are used to showing up at work at a certain time and then clocking out, like, that's a little bit of a shock. Like, sometimes we get done at 1 o'clock, and sometimes we're working till like 7. So it just happens that way. So
yeah.
anyways,
I also have never. Well, I guess I've never had a true 9 to 5. When I was a teenager, I worked at like the car wash or the golf course or things like that. But nothing like this has been kind of the main trajectory has been this job the whole time. And yeah, I think, like you said, there's a little less structure depending on what trade you're in or what position you're in, maybe. But like my wife knows, I work till 4, but that doesn't mean that I'm not home by 5 every
yeah,
time. But I think when that comes to home, like she knows that, and then she also knows that like I try to be good about like I take the time off to be with her that I can and things like that. And I think it's important to have a partner that understands what you're trying to do, why you're working the long hours, and having a partner that's there for you. So they not only do they understand that, but they support because you're working toward an end goal of like trying to set your family up for certain things.
yeah. I think that's important because, like, there's a lot of people out there that have a hard time with that. So just doing the little bit extra to show like you are trying to be there when you can is important. And like you said, like, just because you might get done at 4, you usually have other stuff to go do to prepare for the next day, or whatever it might be, and that's just part of it. And if you want something that is clock in, clock out, and you go straight home, a lot of times people in positions like that don't have really any good like outlook on their career. They might be content with that, and that's fine. But for what I've noticed, anybody that's like pushing and moving up in any job usually doesn't clock in, clock out, and that is what it is. So like, you're either working late to try to get ahead, or showing up early to try to get ahead as well, whatever it may be. So I don't know. I think that if you want that structure, the blue collar work life is probably not for you. But then again, most other positions, even in white collar jobs, are also the same way. So, like, for example, I'll point out my sister's boyfriend. They're getting fairly serious, but he works for Hydro Jug, and he works like nonstop. He deals with their sourcing of their products. So he is like working early and late every single day, like constantly, and trying to take things to help them, stay up and work late. And it just is like anytime you're pushing in a career, it's going to be like that anyways. So I don't know. I think it's a standard in a blue collar job, but any job that you're pushing to try to get ahead, you're going to be in the same boat.
Yeah. And it's the same of like taking, because in blue collar, I don't know. I don't make 9 to 5s that you can take a side job doing what you do on the weekend for more money.
Yeah.
I don't know that exists other than like maybe in tech, because you can code, like you could probably be a freelance on that sort of thing. But you also like that sort of thing. And that's like we talked about a little while ago, is I don't take side jobs unless it's worth a certain amount of money, because that's my time with my wife and my dog and, being at home. So if it furthers the goal of taking care of this household, I will do it. But if it's just, nonsense for whatever amount of money, I'm not going to do it. But that also comes to having an understanding partner and a supportive partner who knows, hey, if you go take this side job, I know that you're doing it because it moves us forward. In which I guess I speak as a married man. If you're single, you're doing that with yourself. Like if you know your goals and what you're doing, and this gets you closer to those goals, then it's worth it. But yeah, it's again self-awareness, I think.
Yeah, I think we should change this to the self-awareness podcast. Something about that blue collar awareness. I don't know.
Yeah,
we keep bringing
but
it up.
And it's because we get asked a lot of questions about like goals and thoughts and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's, again, you're self-aware and you're, okay, I'm using this to get to here. It makes sense. And like you have your lifestyle set up, and that's a communication skill as well, of like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is how we get there. That means that my blue collar job that's supposed to be 8 hours a day sometimes is 10 or 12 hours a day, or it's 7 days a week instead of 5 or 4 or whatever you work.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm looking across the street out my window right now at some guys building houses in here. And like on some of these houses, people have been working 7 days a week on them. And actually the framers directly across the street from me started framing a few days ago, like right before these storms, and they've been coming to work every day. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, why are you guys coming to frame with basically no shelter at all and no possibility of shelter? Like they showed up this morning and were shoveling snow, and I don't even know if they're still out there. Like, but that's just, depending on what's going on, like sometimes you got to put in a little extra time and sometimes you get done early. And like, we always have the understanding. I know that you guys said you were a little more consistent this time of year, right? Like so we work a little bit longer throughout the year so that at the end of the year in the winter, we can not take risks, I guess, with concrete. So we put in a little bit of extra time when we have good weather, so that when we have bad weather, it's like if we have something we could do inside or that's covered, it's fine. If not, whatever. Like we'll just take the day and everybody will like get paid at least something, even if we don't work. And it is what it is. So honestly, I like this type of lifestyle. I think I would hate day in, day out all year, driving into an office, checking in and working my 8 hours and clocking out and driving home. I think that sounds tedious and monotonous to me. That's always been my issue with it. Like I was going to school for engineering and I was like, I don't want to do that for 30 years. That doesn't sound fun. I don't know why people think it is. It just doesn't sound fun to me. So like sitting at a desk, like doing this, like in this video, I'm literally moving all over the place, jumping around. Like, I don't know how people would even want to. So anyways, I would say to close that part off, well, actually, there's more to that little strand of it. I think I like the blue collar work life, the little bit of unpredictability, and it changes things up and it keeps things interesting. Like every day's different. Every place is different. Every job's different. So you get to meet a lot of cool people and be out and about and living life, doing cool things.
I agree with you. It is pretty cool to like I'm going to drive to a job site for a certain amount of time, but then you go to the next one versus like going to the same building and the same chair and the same office every day. Yeah, that part is cool.
Yeah. Traveling out of town though, so I don't have a lot of experience with that. I mean, well, I've done a little bit of a side job out of town, and then we worked at Bear Lake, which is kind of out of town, but not really. I wouldn't consider that. We did one job out of town, and it was like super quick. I mean, it was also miserable, but whatever. So you've done some out of town jobs, and we've talked about it a little bit before, but let's go over that again a little bit with this work life, because a lot of people like Brock, seems like he drives like all over the place, and is out of town or whatever, working on cranes, setting up cranes, all that type of stuff. I don't know how much he does of that, but there's a lot of people that do that a lot. And I mean, Dick, who was on here just a little while ago, like he flies out and works and then goes home. Like it's a different lifestyle. So what's your experience with it?
Yeah, I'm nowhere near like Chris, even that goes out for
Yep.
months at a time and comes
Yep.
back home. I none of that has ever been part of my life. But we do go work in places like, within 4 or 5 hours of home. And if you're gonna do that, you go stay in a hotel Monday through Thursday and come back home Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's not I don't like living in a hotel. I don't like being away from my wife, those sort of things. And I haven't, luckily, since we've been married and serious together, we haven't really had to go work out of town as much, other than like going to Salt Lake or Lehigh or things like that. And if that's the case, her family's down there. So it's like I can still see her and stuff like that. But yeah, when we go up to Idaho and it's like, it's fun for like the first little while and, the money's good and whatnot. But then like, for me personally, it's like month 3 of doing that. I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. But it's a means to an end. And in our situation, like if we go out of town, we get drive time. You go up, do the Monday to Thursday thing. You get per diem every day. The hotel's already been paid for. The gas is paid for. So it's like getting 2 paychecks at once, which is cool. Or like I take the per diem and live off it, and then save all my paychecks, things like that. It's fun every once in a while, but I don't think I could personally do it as a lifestyle. I know a lot of people, that's what they do, and they go out and make all the money. Like the dude that I went and quoted his that thin brick wall in his house.
Yeah.
Apparently that guy's been single till he was 40. From 18 to 40, he worked with a company doing all the steel and concrete for steel mills, like doing the foundations, all the stuff, and then invested all of his extra money and got it in the right places. And now he's building this giant house and he's retiring early. To me, it seems like more of a single person's game because you don't have things tying you here or there or things to miss, stuff like that. But there are also people that are not single that go do it. And it goes back to probably having a supportive and understanding partner that like, hey, you're doing this for a set amount of time so that after that set amount of time, we can live this lifestyle and be together for, more so than maybe someone who's going to continue working until they're 65.
Yeah. I think like you say, I would get sick of it pretty quick. I think I would get sick of the driving to and from the job. But I mean, at the end of the day, the extra pay is nice. And like if you can do something like you guys do where it's a Monday to Thursday, that's pretty good. And if you're thinking about it, like the extra pay is deserved because you're technically working 4 days straight because you can't do anything else. You're going out of town. Like you probably end up working a little bit longer, I would say. Um, so all of it is deserved, and if you can get it balanced right, and it's not very often either, like I think it's not bad. It wouldn't be bad, but I just don't think I'd like doing it for a job. So I always thought about oil field stuff and like, man, that'd be cool. It'd be cool to go, work for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and come home with all of this money and not do anything. But I think that inconsistency there would be annoying. And then being away from home. And I didn't even like that idea when I was single, let alone with a wife and a baby and a dog and stuff. Like I wouldn't want to leave for that long.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've got my buddy Briggs he works for a company that builds roller coasters, and he's been going to Saudi Arabia to work on some theme park, over the last little while.
That sounds crazy.
And he's like, yeah, it's wild. So, but he's like, sometimes he's gone for 2 weeks, sometimes he's gone for 3 months. And it's just like, that's wild to me. And he's like, there's nothing really to do out there besides work. But he's like, I go do it because then I can come home and be home for months at a time or whatever, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's or like Brock. I know Brock does it because he is paid well enough to do it.
Yes.
Like
If
there's a reason Brock does overtime. There's a reason Brock works out of town. It's because he gets paid to do so, and he makes sure that it is worth his time to be away from his family.
And that's the important thing, is know what you're worth and be in a position where you can be like, you know what, I don't want to do it, or this is what it's going to take me to go because it's taking me away from my family. There is a cost benefit analysis that has to go on, but I think that's what keeps people in the oil fields. I mean, I wish I talked a little bit more to Dick about that when I had him on. I don't know if he's even still on here. Like Steven just commented, the oil field life gets old fast being out of town. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what I would see it as. I feel like somehow people that do it and have done it for years just get used to it or something. I don't know. Or maybe there is a plan there for them to not do it at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I remember watching a thing about like kids in Texas that go get in the oil field, and all of them, I think it's again going back to like knowing what your goal is and not doing the dumb shit. But kids go out there and they're making a bunch of money, so they have the brand new truck, the brand new fifth wheel, the brand new razor, the brand new, like all this stuff. But that in turn traps you into that lifestyle because you set yourself up to like, I have to make a certain amount of money to pay for all this shit that I have. So I have to keep going to this job versus like, there's probably the guy that's out there that drives the old truck and has, he lives a very frugal lifestyle and he's out of that job in 10 years and has, he's paid for his house, he's paid for his car, he's paid for his wife's car. Like it depends, and being aware of that probably helps.
Yes, for sure. I think, yes. I don't know much else to add for that.
Yes. Yeah. I think if you have a goal in mind where you're going to go make all that extra money and do it, and you can set it, you have that plan in place. That's good. Personally, for me, I'm not going to go be away from my wife for three months at a time.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to think about because, like, I hear more and more firsthand accounts, or I guess secondhand accounts of like seeing people that make buttloads of money, right? Like, I know some people who have worked in banks and seen, doctors that are making like massive paychecks and they got like no money in their bank, a bunch of debt, all sorts of stuff, like loans on cars and the student loans, home mortgages, and all sorts of stuff. It's like people usually end up like spending what they make. If you can just not spend everything you make, no matter how much it is, you'll be just fine. You'll do fine. I think everybody is getting so caught into this stuff economy like that we have here in the US of like you just gotta buy this and that and the other, and just because like, oh yeah, it's cool, look at this, look what I've got. It's like, how much did that cost you? How much would that money have been if you just kept it and invested it down the road?
Yeah.
That's partially what took me a little bit away from the college ideas. Like I saw more and more like people that just make a bunch of money and spend every penny of it. And I think that it's important to make a certain amount of money to be well off. But like a lot of people that make a lot of money spend every penny. So it's, I don't know. Chasing money is kind of
that's
a weird pursuit. It's like everybody's doing it. So
yeah, I mean, statistic wise, there's like, it's a shocking number of how few people in the US have less than $5,000 in their savings account, as the most prosperous nation on the planet. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you wonder, how do I do that? 10%. That's all that I'm going to take. Just take 10% of your paycheck every week and put it away in something that you don't have access to. That's all it takes. Put it whether it's a Roth IRA or some form of investing, or, save to get your rainy day fund, like any of the extra money you make, put it over there, put it where you can't access it so that you don't have to do shit like be on the road your whole life.
Yeah, I have a little retirement account set up through my dad that all of the guys can have, and he doesn't match for us, so we get to put in money and he'll match it into I think it's a simple IRA. I've actually never even looked at how much is in there, so I've had it for like 4 years or something. So I was a little bit surprised at how much was in there, and I was like, huh, cool. Now I just know I'm at least saving money, and it'll grow. But that's the important part. It's like you got to take it, put it somewhere, and have an idea of what's in there. But like for a rainy day or whatever, obviously a retirement account, you can't use that. But like just put it somewhere where you're investing it and leaving it alone. So for future
A little bit
plan.
of delayed gratification as a big key there.
Awesome. Well, I think I don't know, I think man, hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we'll close out here. So you got anything to add?
Oh, no, no, I think we did good.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I like that hour and a half mark myself.
Okay. We will do better well, this is a test. I don't know. I've been sort of glancing over at the YouTube live stream, and I've got a few people on there right now, but it's lagging quite a bit behind and stuff. And it's supposed to be streaming like 1080p
today. Yeah,
but it's not. So whatever.
I guess, yeah, in closing, I do have something. Congrats on 100 episodes, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I didn't even mention
good,
that. I didn't.
Good work. Yeah. Good for you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. I'm excited for what will come, from here. Cause, 100's a big marker. I know I talked to Dick about when he got to 100, and I mean, now that we're here, like, yeah, it's cool and all, but it's just proof that I can do things that are, time consuming and a little bit hard, and it just takes consistency and dedication and moving forward. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Now that I'm at 100 episodes, maybe I can start thinking about taking on sponsors. Maybe we'll start reaching out, figuring that out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, you did the hard part. Like most people don't, like 99% of podcasters don't make it past episode 7 or something.
Something like that. I'm surprised every time I hear about it, because I'm like, man, that wasn't even hard to get to that. So I think people just get like stuck in their head and discouraged or something by the podcasting space. It's like you don't see the immediate results, and people are like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. So it just takes time. So we will probably do these at some point again. I don't know how often we'll do this. It's kind of, I don't know. We'll be posting about it if we do a live stream. So
yeah, maybe it would be easier if I came down there in person instead of trying to connect with me and the live. Maybe that'll help. Well, yeah, we'll find something.
We'll see. I mean, I don't have much expectations. I think anything is cool. So, all right, guys. Thanks for listening. Steven saying, yeah, I appreciate you following along. It's always cool to have people that are, supporting, So, awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Steven. I love you. I'll see you Monday.
I can't believe you listened to the whole freaking episode too. Hats off to you. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.